buy into the idea that he's well out of the box when it comes to traditional coaches?
Well, I think that's a pretty good description, and we love Dave. He's got such a good heart, and he's such a deep thinker. You know, as you can tell listening to him, it's so much for him as he prepares his players about what's going on up here in their head, as much as it is what's happening with them physically. And almost all his answers ultimately got back to what was going on in their hearts and in their heads. And so I don't think you hear that as much from other coaches. So we love that about Dave. It's a wonderful fit with Baylor and who we are as a faith-based institution.
When you talk about, obviously, brand, and the Big 12 brand is a big part of what's going on. With Brett Yormark, how did he come on the radar? I mean, obviously, I think I've heard a lot of people say when they heard his name, they had to go Google him to see who he was. So, I mean, how did you guys come to him, and how did that kind of evolve?
Well, we worked with the search firm Turnkey ZRG, and they did a lot of listening within the conference to understand what our challenges were, what our opportunities were, what we were looking for. And then, you know, they've done the ACC and the Pac-12 search, so they kind of knew the landscape really well of college athletics, and frankly had vetted a lot of people over time for these different roles. And as they pulled together a pool of candidates for us, given what we said we were looking for, it was an unbelievably strong pool. I think it showed the interest in the conference, the confidence in the conference. There were great internal people with collegiate experience, but then there were also some really great external. And ultimately, Brett rose to the top because, you know, we could tell that with his experience in professional sports, in sponsorships, in media, in entertainment, given where college athletics is going and all the changes taking place with our media rights negotiation coming up, that Brett, in combination with the really strong athletic directors we have across the conference, would be a great combination to position us really well for the future.
How much can the Big 12 take? They continually seem to be in a position where there's a little bit of uncertainty the last 10 or 12 years.
Well, I think it's shown that we're an unbelievably resilient conference, and that we, you know, every time we face a difficult situation, we come out really strong and on top, and I think we showed that last year, and I think as we kind of go through this transition, whatever it ultimately ends up looking like, we'll come out and in a really good position going forward. But I think it's just the resilience and the commitment of the people in the conference to continue to work together and position us well for the future.
Do you worry about college athletics becoming too big of a business? I mean, as we know, where it's all going, it's obviously changed a lot. Do you worry about it getting too big?
I think that we've got to continue to remember that this is all about our student athletes, and they are students first, and then athletes. And so I think we have to be really mindful as we also recognize the business side of what we're doing and the importance of that these are young men and women that we're working with, and we've got to continue to look at how is this impacting them and how are we helping them to navigate this as well. And so I think it's complicated, but every industry changes, and we have to adapt as our industry changes just like every other one does.
How much of the SEC Big Ten is on board last week years of Big 12? I know you're going to say keep our focus on what we can control, yet there's so much attention on what's going on with those two leagues.
Well, I think you have to pay attention to what's going on across the industry. If you don't, you're going to be in a difficult position. So I think we have to be very attentive to what each of the other conferences is doing, and frankly what's going on at a national level, even outside of the conferences. And if we're not doing that, we're not paying attention to the right things. But I do think at the end of the day, we have to position ourselves to control our own destiny and not rely on what somebody else does to dictate to us what's going to happen to our conference. And I think Brett is the right person to help us do that.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate it.
Sure. Appreciate you guys.